I was reading a post on Poll yesterday about how it's a honeypot. And yeah, it is, but not in the way that this poster was proposing. They were talking about how it's really just a Russian information mine. It's like, what's this a Russian thing? Like, it's like it's the 80s again. I think they ran out of bad guys to be the boogeyman. You know, they can't attack Muslims anymore because they're trying to promote religious tolerance. I mean, except for Christians. But so it's like that's all they had left, really. You know, there's a strange situation going on in the Middle East. It's kind of hard to use any of those people. So it's almost like the default thing is just like 1980s. So they go back to Russia. But anyway, the way it is a honeypot, like for me, what I think is that, I mean, they know who you are when you post there. But there is no anonymity. There's only anonymity among you and the people on the board at the time. If the feds went to them, and it's happened in the past, and asked for information on a person, they'd give it to them, because one of the only things you really can't do there is threaten. Like, you can't talk about blowing up something or shooting someone. The feds can get your information, and they can come and pick you up. They'll be at your house like the fucking same night. So it's not there's no anonymity there at all. And what's happening, in my opinion, is that everything is logged like it is everywhere else. And what they're doing is they're adding that to your personal credit score, at your social credit score, you know. So it's just getting my train of thought back together. So anyway, yeah, that all goes into determining if you're like a bad person or not. And again, this isn't something that people are doing, right? It's like it's an algorithm. It's completely outside the control of any humans. So it just basically logs what you say, and if you say a certain word so many times, like the N word or whatever word you can't say is easy, the F word, the K word, there's so many words now. They just log that from your IP, you know, from your whatever you call it. Yeah, IP, right? I don't know. But yeah, so they just log that, and then that goes into your social credit score. Like, you know, he said a bad word this many times, and it will all come back to haunt you, all this stuff, in that way. Now, a lot of us realize worrying about that thing, that ship has sailed, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. I've been on the internet since 1996. I had my first website for my band at the time, and yeah, I was done by 97. I had a blog going for many years before that term even existed. I was one of the first, I forget the number, but it's under 100,000 blogs on the internet, and the reason you can figure this out is because they have it by date. Like, by this date there were this many, by this date there were this many. But I don't even know, because I used to run mine off it wasn't off a live journal or something. I eventually went there later, like in the in the early 2000s I ended up there. But in the beginning, I was just running it off my own GeoCities software, the downloadable stuff. So who knows? But anyway, yeah, so by 97, I was already done. You know, so I don't really worry about that stuff. It is, as far as severity, the way I think it works, and it might be wrong, is that you get more bad points than good points if you say something pro-beast, which I, you know, don't often do, only in relation to maybe trying to build up something or explain something. You get very few points for it, because that's the default. They expect you to just be that way, you know. So if you do something bad, you get a lot more bad points than good points. So it accrues pretty quickly, and you end up screwed. And I think that's how it is. So at that point, though, there's still tiers, like tiers of what they believe to be dangerous individuals, you know, predicated on all the other information they have. So, and a lot of times you'll see, and this is true on Pole. And for me, Pole is just not good anymore. It's all shills. It's all bullshit. You know, slide threads, things that don't have any importance at all. You know, you can always tell when there's something going on because you'll get all these threads, and it's usually like risque picture of a woman, and then some stupid question like, how can whiteoids even compete, or just something stupid, you know. But there's enough new people come through there that they fall for this stuff, and it's aggravating. Like, people fall for pastas now all the time. They're talking back to pastas. It's like, you know, how many people are still there from years ago? It doesn't seem like many, but it's good to get news. Like, if some crisis level event is happening in the world, I go there and it'll be on the front page, or it'll, you know, it's a good place for news. But anything else, it's garbage. I'm an X guy myself, but I'm an X man. Yeah, it is a honeypot in that sense that they're just trying to collect a bunch of bad stuff on you. And to that end, a lot of the glowies, what they'll do is, you can always tell their posts, or at least I can. It's just in the style they write. And a lot of the really egregious, kind of over-the-top stuff that's like, you know, super racist or super against Jews, they're always glowy people who make these threads. What the idea, I think, is to try to get other users riled up so when they spill stuff that can then hurt them. On some level, that's kind of what's going on. But yeah, I can tell. It's just how they write. There's always while everyone kind of says stuff like that from time to time, it's always done in a real, like, joking manner or a trolling manner. With these guys, their posts, like, the words they use, and you can feel the intensity behind it. It's almost like this rage, like they're really mad. And they slip up all the time. You know, they'll be arguing with someone and they'll be like, yeah, well, you're Orange God Emperor. It's like, no, it's not about that. It's not about, they're so hung up on that Trump guy. That Trump spell really fucked up a lot of them, you know. Fucked up a lot of people, actually, that spell. That was a major spell, man. But yeah, it is a honeypot, but not in the way that that guy was saying it was, you know. I mean, as far as being careful what you post there, I would say be careful starting a post. The things you want to stay away from is trafficking, you know. They'll come after you for that if you expose that kind of stuff. And occasionally that does happen. Like, over this past year, we've had multiple threads on the aquarium thing. That's always something that will be jammied away. You can always tell what the things they're scared of. The stuff they're scared of usually gets slid really quickly, and if it's not sliding fast enough, they just jammy it. You know, just remove it. Some of the best things recently, some of the best threads I've found over there are ones that just get jammied. You know, and you can always tell when they're going to. You just kind of have to. You kind of, excuse me, long COVID. You kind of have to just info dump. I'm just kidding. It doesn't exist. It's all fake. You got to info dump. You know, a lot of people can sense when that's happening, and then they'll just like empty their folders and stuff. That happens a lot with their trafficking. And you know, I used to collect everything. I used to save everything and collect everything, but I don't use a computer. I don't use a PC now. Everything I do is on my phone, and that's how it's going to be for a while. I kind of like it. But because of that, I can't save a lot of stuff, so I'm always kind of, you know, hoping other anons do. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I've had stuff that, man, I wish I kept. Because when a happening happens, or some kind of event, and a lot of stuff hits the boards, I'll be saving stuff, and you know, and I'm always hoping, like, well, someone else is saving this too, right? They're all saving these images from, you know, whatever psyop is happening at the time, whether it be the Las Vegas thing or you know, whatever thing, you know. But so I always hope, well, maybe someone else is saving these things, and maybe they are, but I don't often see them come back, you know. And I'll be reading a thread and be like, oh my god, I had pictures of this, oh my god, I had this, I had that. Oh well, it doesn't do you any good now. But yeah, as far as like worrying about what you post there, as long as you keep them from showing up at your house. Like they had that fake thing recently where that fake 4chan user got fake arrested. I mean, even like someone that has some sort of surface understanding of how these things work could look at it and go, that's not how they do that. It was set up for like a photo op, you know. And the guy himself, he looks like they just either cut off or they tied back the long side curls, you know. He's definitely in their crew, right? And then if you look at the police logs and the police report around that whole incident, it doesn't match up with the reality of what happened, because it's all show, it's all fake. What they're trying to do is scare people, and or to show them, hey, this is what could happen to you. So something like that, what it made me think is that they're about ready to wind up this experiment, because you know it drives them, as far as the poll thing, because you know it drives them crazy to see their ideas being dismantled with really very little effort. You know it drives them nuts. They want to get rid of it, and I think that maybe they're at the end of data collecting or logging people's stuff. I guess they got enough. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. That's what that whole event was with the fake bus and the fake guy. That's the only thing I can really think of as to why, because just trying to scare someone from posting on there, I don't know if it would be effective for that. I don't know if they'd go through all the trouble and resources to do that. And there are resources involved, you know. But I don't know. Ultimately, I think for most of us, that ship has sailed. And deal with things as they happen, you know, and trust in God. You know, he'll lead you where you got to be, or at least that's how it's been with me. And I hope that continues. But to be continued. Wow, look at the size of that dog over there, man. Hold on, look. Look at that thing. You could put a saddle on those things and ride them. Oh my god, I think they're those Afghan dogs. Pretty cool. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.